What's going on, guys? It's Ethan from Vapours Canada. Today we're going to be talking about the Vaporesso Luxe Q pod system, basic pod system, very simple pod system. We've had this guy for probably about a month now. We're catching up on some videos, so this has been extremely popular for us. It's very similar to the Novo, the Smok Novo series, the Novo 1 and the Novo 2, not the Novo X or the Novo 4. The Novo X we tried, but as soon as they started making pods that weren't compatible with the old Novo series, we were like, no thanks. So we found out about this guy, and that's why we kind of dropped the Novo series, because we wanted to give this guy a try. The actual build quality on the device is light years better than the Novo. The battery's bigger. It's got Type-C charging, which most devices have these days. All devices should have them. It's faster charging, especially for devices nowadays have those bigger batteries. And especially for when you're on the go, you can only plug it in for a couple minutes there. You tend to get a lot more out of it than you would with a micro USB. Pod is pretty much the same as a Novo. They're not compatible, but they're the same kind of concept. The device within itself and everything is pretty much the same kind of concept as the Novo. Even looking at the box is pretty similar to the Novo 2 box in the sense of all these kind of graphics on the front of it, breaking down the key points of it. But yeah, we'll dive down, we'll take a look at it. There's not too much to show you about this guy, just very basic. It's a popular one because of how basic it is. The simpler a device is these days, the more people like it. That's why disposables are getting so big. That's why closed pod systems like Stealth and Allo-Sync are so big, is because when people don't have to deal with maintenance and it's just plug and play, it tends to work better, right? The less you have to think about it, the easier it is to use, the easier it is to quit cigarettes, right? So let's dive down, let's take a look at it, and we'll come back up, I'll give you guys my thoughts. All right, guys, so the Vaporesso Luxe Q pod system. Like I said, extremely basic. All it does, we just slide the sleeve right off there. And like I said, this actually does show you a little bit of points. It's got a few graphics on it that show you the key points of the device. 1000 mAh high density battery, top filling, so they kind of fill like the Caliburn G coils if you're familiar with those. The SSS leak resistant technology, that's Vaporesso's kind of like leak resistant guarantee. Your pod's not going to leak. They have it on a lot of their tanks as well. Pioneering texture, not quite sure what that means. The device does have kind of a cool texture to it. But like I said, the actual build quality of the device is just phenomenal. Some literature for you there, your warranty card, your user manual, but you're not going to need a user manual because that's why you're watching this video. And that's our device. So extremely simple, nothing crazy. The body, like I said, isn't as plasticky as the Novo was. We actually can just pop the pod out like so, like with the Novo exactly. And instead of it filling on the bottom or anything like that, like a lot of Vaporesso pods do, we just want to kind of, even though it feels like you're breaking it, I promise you're not, you just want to kind of pull the mouthpiece to the side, and it's going to reveal that little fill port right there. You're just going to put the nozzle of the bottle in there, and it fills right up. The smaller hole is just for air to escape, so you want to make sure you're trying to fill it through this larger hole on the left or right, and then make sure you don't fill it through the middle there, okay? Then we would just pop our mouthpiece right back on. Pod goes in either way. Can go in that way, can go in that way. There is no right or wrong way. And there's no button on this device, no on off or anything like that. When we want to use the device, the pod's filled up, the coil's ready to go, we would just simply take a puff on it. It is what we call auto draw or draw activated, so all it will do is vape once you go to take a puff on it there. Charging port on the back, USB Type-C. Comes with a Type-C cable. Vaporesso makes the nicest charging cables too. It's always been this kind of like knitted instead of just the really cheap stuff. So these charging cables are actually really good. And then it comes with a extra pod as well. I believe it comes with one of each of the pods. It just says 2 pods. But looking at them, this one has the black rubber on the bottom of it, whereas the one in the pod has the red. So this would be the 0.8 ohm, give you a little more of a heavier hit, not quite too heavy. And then you'd have the one with the black rubber on it would be the 1.2 ohm. So 0.8 tends to be the sweet spot for a lot of people. For whatever reason, the 0.8 tends to work a lot better in pod systems. It's not a super heavy hit. It's not a light hit. The coil doesn't burn out fast. It lasts a bit longer, and people tend to like that 0.8. So I've always felt that 0.8 is kind of like that sweet spot, right? So that's it, guys. That's all it comes with right there. Extremely basic, inexpensive device. We'll bring it back up on top. We'll fill it up, and we'll take a vape on it. I'll give you guys my thoughts. All right, we're back up top with the Vaporesso Luxe Q. Like I said, down to the up and close, very basic, very simple. People like simple devices. Nobody wants, I mean, there are people who still use dual battery devices bigger devices with sub-ohm tanks, and that's fine, that's great. But the thing that people gravitate towards the most these days, because we're still getting a decent amount of people who are trying to transition over from smoking. Simple devices are the go-to. Simple devices are the way that people enjoy vaping, and it's the way that people make that transition easier. So like I was showing you, we just take the pod out. We're gonna fill this guy up. We just pop off the top there. We take our juice. We wanna go through the larger hole. And we just fill it up. Very simple. And since we can't take the coil out of this device, we gotta let it sit for about 5-10 minutes. I'm not gonna let it sit for 10 minutes because I wanna try it. We gotta let it sit for about 5-10 minutes because we can't prime it. We can't physically take the coil out and put some juice on that cotton there, right? So when you put the juice in there on a fresh coil, on a fresh pod, you just wanna make sure you let it sit. And then you also wanna make sure that if you're doing any dry hauls, you don't put it in the device. You wanna take the device, or take the pod, and just do some what we call dry hauls, right? That's gonna pull that juice into the cotton a little more, help it prime a little faster, right? At which point, don't do this, let it sit for longer than I'm letting it sit. I just wanna give this a try. So we'll pop the coil in there, and we'll just, no button, no nothing, auto draw. And funny enough, the same as the POC X, the coil's not burnt. The coil's pretty much primed. It's good to go. So that's a good coil. I mean, you give it a few dry hauls there, and you're good to go. Word to the warning, I mean, it's always better to be safe than sorry. Let it sit for longer than I did. But there's no burn here. I mean, like, the cotton's completely saturated. This is actually the first time I've ever used one of these. And like I said, we've had them for about a month, and they've been really popular. But I haven't used one, and now I see why. It's just a good vape. The coil is good. It vapes clean. It's got that nice, not overpowering, and that's that 0.8 coil too. So yeah, now it's all starting to make sense. So yeah, guys, that's it. We do have these in stock. We're keeping a ton of them in stock because they are so popular and people are liking them so much. We've got pretty much every color. We've got the white, we've got it in rose, we've got it in blue, we've got it in black. Go check it out, vaporscanada.com, or at any of our locations. Thanks for watching. Time to make the change. Vapours Canada. Vaporscanada.com.